Mohammed, and we're discussing delivery of services, which is critical. That is what the government exists to do. That is what our legislators exist to do now, our devolved structures as well. And we're getting your views on the issue. 22422 is the SMS number. Our question: what are your priority areas for the Jubilee government to address in 2014? Because the president said today, this is the year of action. So what action do you want to see in what particular areas? Your views are coming in now. Security clearly is the critical issue. JK from Isiolo says security and poverty. Rachel says, I'd like the government to address the issue of security and health. This one is unnamed. The government should tackle the issues such as high cost of living and insecurity. So it keeps coming back to insecurity, but I do want to get your take. I'll start with you, Jeanette. What are your views on what the most critical issues are and what we need to focus on in the coming year?
Thank you, Julie. I think there is a lot of issues to be handled in this country, ranging from insecurity, high cost of living, and so forth and so forth. And me as a member of CORD, I believe it is the responsibility of the Jubilee government to provide those kind of services to Kenyans, because they are the ones who have been elected to do that. And they are the ones who are in office to do those kind of things. So it's like, I believe today Jubilee said this is a year of action. So it looks like they have realized last 1 year they have achieved nothing, and they believe that they want to start now doing something, and we are watching and seeing on how they will do it.
You're a legislator though, you are a lawmaker, so you do have a role to play, and it's this buck passing that is a little bit worrying. But what do you see as your role? Because as an individual, you represent the people that voted you, and even the ones that didn't vote you in your particular area.
I agree.
Yes.
You know, constitutionally, Julie, a member of parliament's duty is to legislate, represent, and do oversight.
And important, those are critical duties.
But the people who spend the public coffers to provide security, to provide water, to provide, to lower the cost of living, is the people who are in the executive. The people either in the devolved system of government, the level there, or the national government. Me as a legislator, my business is to oversight them, whether they are doing the right thing, whether they're using the right, the money of the people's money in the right way. That's my work.
So give us your 3 critical issues. What are the most important to you right now?
My most important things to me in this country at the moment is the high cost of living. Number 2 is insecurity. And number 3 is grand corruption.
Okay.
If those 3 are addressed, I'm at home. And the 4th one, towards the election, I require electoral reforms also.
Okay.
Those 4 things.
Thank you so much. Beatrice, I come to you. And yes, undoubtedly it is the government's responsibility to deliver services to the people, but I'd like your take on the critical issues. And then we'll take the conversation forward and ask what you're doing to ensure the focus is on delivery of services.
Thank you, Julie. I think first I would say for the first 1 year, coming in with a new constitution and dispensation, I think I'll thank the government for ensuring now we have the structures to work. But at the same time, I'll tell my friend Mheshimiwa that if you say Jubilee has not done anything, then I think the laws they've just passed in Parliament to start these structures then are null and void. But if they have passed laws that have to go and ensure the national government has work to do, then I think we are doing something. But having said that, I think as government, our first priority is security. I know that. And it's something that everyone is willing to ensure that we work around. And the most important thing, our CORD brothers should know that security is not just government, it's now both of us, all of us. And we need to ask ourselves, where did we go wrong? Where we went wrong is when we ensured the same corruption we are talking on. And where I always find it very difficult to deal with people in our country, and especially those who are in leadership positions, is that we tend to, after one election, we tend to forget we were in positions 5 years back, building a foundation, and we did wrong, but we don't want to accept. Right. So the next government comes in, it seems like it's a new government with new things, which is wrong. I think it's time as Kenyans we appreciate that we went wrong 50 years, all of us.
You're saying the foundations are flawed?
I'm not saying they're flawed, but I'm saying if you have worked in government, if, for example, the leader of CORD worked in government as a prime minister, coordinated what we are going through now, and then you come in and turn around and say, now we want national dialogue, now we want to deal with the issues. It will be wrong to Kenyans because they gave you a platform to see those foundations. Today we will be talking about a very different thing, that we have foundations, yes, but now we are moving on. But now it is Jubilee again to create better foundations for us to move on.
Let's talk about your priority issues before I want to come to you on this. But first, what are your
Our
key
priorities are very clear. First, we'll deal with security. We've started dealing with unemployment, and that's why every time the president is insisting that we need to see our young people get soft loans, because we know you have to create that employment, but also create an environment where they can do business and also create other employments to others. We are talking about food security, which is very key, because I know if every Kenyan today will have a meal duly, we will not see what we are seeing today.
Let's talk about high cost of living before I come back to Junet. Critical issue coming up, and everybody's saying we're suffering.
I think one of the things we need to appreciate is that after we passed our new constitution, there are very high hopes, yes, but at the same time is a structure that is very expensive, and that today now we are devolving funds to the devolved governments. We appreciate that, yes, we have money going to the devolved governments, but we need to sit back as leaders and say, this money that we have devolved, how are we spending it down there so that people can feel that economic growth? And that's what we are lacking at the moment, that within the devolved governments, we need to rethink also, even as governors are talking.
Junet, please come in. Yes.
Julie, I want to remind the senator that you can't blame past governments. Elections are done because of that. You want change. You want things done better. That is why at the election time people sell their manifestos. Every party brings this manifesto, says if you put me into power, I will do A, B, C, D. So there are many things Jubilee promised Kenyans in their manifesto. Those are the things that we are telling them to do, not the things that the previous government was unable to do or didn't do. That's now dwelling in the past. And number two, it's the mandate of the Jubilee government to deliver on the promises they gave to Kenyans. And as a responsible opposition, we are not telling them we want to be in their government. This is not the kind of government someone will wish to be in. This is a sick government, according to me. No, we are telling them that we want to engage with you people on 5 critical issues as a responsible opposition before we go to our next course of action. And I'm happy the president today conceded to that and say that he's open to dialogue. We can discuss with him. Unlike his deputy who said there is no window open for dialogue. So we want to dialogue with them on 4 or 5 critical matters that these Kenyans, the Kenyans who are our clients.
I'm going to come to those 4 or 5 matters, and I think the dialogue is with stakeholders, so it's a wide dialogue. But your government is being described, Senator, as a sick government.
I think the opposition is sick. And where they are sick is one, I mean, you cannot come and tell the government you want to dialogue. The institutions are already there for dialogue. They're in parliament. You're supposed to be dialoguing in parliament, but what has the opposition been doing in parliament? They have been sleeping in bed, forgetting we came to parliament to ensure we pass good laws where people can have what they asked you when you were calling or when you went out to ask for a vote. But what has they, I mean, when you look at all the laws, the laws they call bad, I think it's the opposition that has been passing them so badly until I'm wondering, are you there for your people or are you there for yourself?
So this
because
is the
that
kind
is
of
one thing you should be asking yourself. Have we been there for our people as you speak, or have you been there for your own greed? Two,
yes.
When you are in a constituency, you have CDF. It is a fund. Don't look at government. Already you have a fund that is money from the coffers of Kenyans. And they want to see you give service delivery. What have you been delivering?
For a moment, let me stop you both. And this is a message to all politicians. Kenyans are not interested in hearing you call each other sick. It is Kenyans at the end of the day need to be able to afford a meal on the table. In fact, 3 solid meals on the table, a good education for their children, a dignified standard of life. And perhaps this is the problem, is the kind of politics that, takes over. It takes over. So, Junet, let me ask you this. If you were challenged and you were sitting in this dialogue session and you were asked, what must we do as a nation together to deliver the services to the people? Doesn't matter about the politics, doesn't matter about the it will always exist. But what must we do? What would you say needs to be done to address the issues that you highlighted?
We want to, when we engage the government on those issues, we want to tell the government to do things differently, because it looks like the government is doing those things as they were being done before. We have policies that we have developed as a party, as a coalition. We have documents, we have a process that we need to table before Jubilee and tell them that yours is not working. Why don't you try this one? That is why we want to engage them, number one. And then number two, it's not the responsibility of a member of parliament to provide security to his people. It is the responsibility of the government. Even it's not a function of the devolved government to provide security. Security is the function of the national government. And me and her, we know who the national governments are. So for that reason, let's not, sidestep and, kind of things. So we must agree that there's a problem, and you must engage with us as the opposition, because opposition represent Kenyans. They don't represent, other people.
Before we go to a break, Beatrice then, so the same question to you. What must we do to ensure we're working together? I think the President made reference today of a united country,
yes,
with each of us playing a role towards delivering. What must we do moving forward?
I think the first thing we must do is that we must come together as Kenyans. We must unite first for the cause. And we must ask ourselves, as Kenyans, forgetting to call now there's government, there's this. We must ask ourselves, as Kenyans, where do we want our country to go? And then the second question will be, as we see young people who are engaging into the insecurity that we have, being gangsters, why? Why? It's because
what are the underlying problems?
Yes, the underlying problem is, yes, we have a challenge with unemployment. Then how do you create an environment that will bring that employment? But if we decide that the environment will be political, will be rallies, even the investor who would have wished to come to the country will not come.
Will not come in.
So we must look at all that.
We're taking a break now. We'll be back with much more for you on Sunday Live. Don't go away. Stay with us.